Hey, and welcome back. What we're doing is we're picking up from a game that we previously did called the Cave game. And what we're going to do is convert that game. We're going to refactor that game into becoming more of a scroller game, a game where you can control a character. If you did not go over this Cave game, just go back to the video I previously did, follow along with that, get the code. And normally I don't want to give you the code because I want you to type the code so you can get used to typing it. So go ahead and look at the previous video if you don't have it. But that's where we're starting from. And we're going to convert that to a game where we're moving the character around and that sort of stuff. And it behooves you to go back to that one because we learned how to read and write from JSON, a JSON file, which we'll be using for our game database. So there's a lot of stuff in the previous videos that's really going to help you a lot. The only difference between this file right here that I'm using and the previous file is the fact that I took all the classes that I had in this same file because I had them all in one file just for the sake of presentation, and I put them all in separate files. So every class has its own file instead of having it in one file, like the navigation, the cave, that sort of stuff. Also, what I did here is I made an image folder and I imported the image that I'll be using, and it's this alien image right here. You can see that little alien there. So I'm gonna be using that to be able to do my test on movement. So let's go ahead and get started. Now here in my cave game, basically if I were to run this, so basically what I have here is a game that is following along. You can go through it's a network of caves, let's say, and each one is connected to another cave or it has a door that is locked. So I can go north, east, south, or west. And depending on where I go, like I'm trying to go west again, that door is locked. I can go back east and go south. And so mentally, I'm mapping this out. But what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to use my keyboard to be able to move a character through the west door, through the south door, east or north door. And instead of getting a description of what's there, I want the character to actually see what's there. So it's going to be like a scroller game, or maybe more like a Zelda type game where you go from one stage to the next. And then I'll go to the scroller game because that's probably the best progression. So let's go ahead and look at how we can change this to that type of game to where we're using a timer and we're using a keyboard. So because I want to get rid of these buttons, I don't want these buttons to be active. I'm going to go into my code and I'm going to find the BTN North, East, South, and West. I'm going to highlight those and I'm going to hit up here. I'm going to select Control K, or I can just hit this one right here. All right, so now that I have those commented out, now what I want to be able to do is go here to my main window. I want to make sure I have my main window selected up here, and I'm going to first go ahead and name my window because what I want to now do is go ahead and add the the key press events. So I'm going to kill two birds with one stone by naming my window first and then adding the event, and you'll see what I mean by that. So I'm going to call this cave game. And then so I make sure that my window is selected, then I name my window here, and then I go down here and I find a key down event because that's the first one I'm going to do, and I'm going to double click in there and I'm going to have it write it for me. As you can see, it wrote cave game key down event here and it added all that stuff for me so I don't have to worry about anything. Now I'm going to go ahead and do a test to make sure I'm getting some input from here, and I'm going to do a right line, and then I'm going to go ahead and do my test here. There we go. Now I'm going to hit F5 to run that. Now my button shouldn't work. I should not see any input from my buttons. That's good. And now I'm going to hit the key, and you can see down here I'm getting my testers. So I am getting some input from the keyboard. So now I can get rid of that test. And the second thing I want to now start doing is getting an image in here so I can do some movement test on that image. And the first thing I need to do is go over here to the common WPF controls. I'm gonna go right here to the images. I'm gonna drag that image here. Here's, you got to be careful because if I drag the image here, right, I'm gonna show you what happened. And sometimes it looks like nothing happened, but something did. So I'm gonna drag my image there. I'm gonna go here to the image itself. I'm going to give it a name called alien. And then I'm going to go down here to my properties, select the properties here. I'm going to go to the source and I'm going to click on the arrow key down and I'm hit enemy there. And you'll see this enemy pop up here, right? But watch what happens when I run it. Hit F5. You don't see the alien there. And there's a good reason for that. It's because when I dragged my image in here, if you look down here in my XAML, it's inside of the label tag because I dragged it on top of a label. So that is the issue. What I would need to do is take this image tag right here and drag it outside the label, but still inside the grid. So now when I run it again, you have the image there. All right, so if that happens to you, make sure you solve it by making sure it's not inside of something else. Now I need to make sure I can move my alien. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go here to my key down, and I want to make a procedure that's specifically designed to move my character left. So I'm going to put move left, open close brackets, and I'm going to have the system write it for me. So I'm going to put my mouse over this, go over this light bulb, and hit generate method. And it'll write that method for me. I'm going to get rid of this not implemented exception. And then I'm going to type my alien. And with WPF, it's margins. So it's not X or Y, it's margins because it has a left, a top, a bottom, and left, a top, a bottom, and a right. And so that's why we have to use margins and not really X or Y. But the margin does have an X or Y. It's just called left and top. But it takes, what the margins take is a thickness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type thickness here. And that thickness will have a left to top that it takes inside of there. If you put your mouse inside of here, first I'm going to get rid of this one. And then I put my mouse there. You can see here it takes a thickness left, top, right, and bottom. And so the left thickness I'm going to give this is the alien's thickness. So the alien's margin dot top. Dot left. Okay. So that's the first one. And because I want this to move left, I'm going to say that's going to be +1. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the alien dot margin and then the top dot top there. And the other ones can be 0 because we don't really need to use those. We're just using the left and the right. The left and the top. So now once I use this thickness, I have to change this. I have to make sure I declare this a new thickness because I'm going to be putting it into this margin. So now I should expect when I hit on any key, this thing to move left. And if it doesn't, it means I need to change the sign here. So I'm going to hit F5. And I'm going to hit any key, and it's moving right. It's not moving left. So that means I need to change the sign here to minus. I knew that. Hit F5 to minus. There we go. That's any key. And the cool thing is, because I did the left, technically, I've done the right. And so I did this key down, right? So I'm just going to do, that's the key down. So now all I'm going to do here on the key down is I'm going to declare this to be the arrow key. That's the key that I'll be looking for. So the way I do that is I'm going to use these parameters inside of the key down. And I'm going to say something like if e.key. And keep in mind I'm getting the e from this key event that's coming in. If e.key equals a static class of key.write, then I'm going to do something. And take this here. So if and then I'm going to do the same thing with the left. All right, so now I have my left and right, and I'm going to take this left and I'm going to put it in there. And let me see if this works. Hit F5. And I'm going to hit the right. Nothing happens. Up. Nothing happens. Down. And then the left. There it goes. So I got my left key moving. Now let's try the right key. So since I have my left key moving, I'm going to do the same thing with the right. Right key. There we go. And I'm going to have it write it for me. Generate it for me. I'm going to take this here, copy that, and instead of negative, I'm going to add it as plus. That easy. Run it. Hit my left, and I'm hitting my right. There we go. We got some movement there. Good. Now in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to add ourselves a timer here and get this thing moving a little bit more smooth, and maybe add a speed or something like that. Technically, what I'm saying is we're going to add our game loop so that way things can move smoothly. And that's the essence of our game, is our game loop. So I'll see you guys then. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share the video so that I can keep making these videos. I'll talk to you guys next time.